Hey guys, so today what I want to do is I want to show you a new product that was actually requested by one of my Instagram followers to make. And it's a novel study student workbook. And it works for any novel. And that's the idea anyway. And it's generic. And basically what it does is it focuses on the stages of plot through the reading, and it allows secondary students to work through a novel independently and really think deeper about the text, really think about the author's craft, the author's purpose, which can be difficult to find. So I've created this workbook, and I kind of just want to show you what's in it. So of course we have our cover page. And what's nice about this product is it's completely ready to print. I don't have a digital version of this, and you'll see in here why it's not digital. This is, it's ready to print, double-sided, black and white. So it's printer friendly and ready to use. So what I've done is on each of, I've kind of included a bunch of quotes about reading to get kids interested in the concept of reading. A lot of times as English teachers, we always hear this, oh, I don't want to read another book. But here I have a bunch of quotes throughout the workbook where students can kind of get inspired and think about reading in a different light. I have a table of contents here. It's really generic and really simple. You could totally omit this if you want. You don't even need to include it. Then we have a reading schedule, and I have included an editable reading schedule in the bundle for you. And it's editable in PowerPoint, and all you have to do is print it and then replace this sheet with the with your updated version. I think providing a reading schedule for the kids ahead of time is really, really important, especially for this particular workbook, and I'm going to get into that in a little bit, but I'll explain to you how I feel like you should be breaking things down for the kids. But this is editable, and it's available in the bundle for you. So a couple more quotes, and the first section we have is our pre-reading section, and I think it's really important to have a pre-reading section because it kind of gets the kids thinking about what they're going to be reading. So what I've included is we start off with a Meet the Author page. Again, super generic, and it's all research-based. They do it themselves. There's no prep for you. You can literally print this out and give it to the kids, and you'll be all set. I also have a pre-reading questionnaire, which is 2 pages. So it's this page and it's this page, and it kind of gets the students thinking about what they're going to be reading, and it gets them to think about what they already might know about the topic. I asked the kids to judge a book by its cover, which is kind of frowned upon, but don't tell anybody, okay? There's some research involved, and kids get to display what they already know and learn about things that they don't know. So it's 2 pages. So overall, it's 3 total pages for the pre-reading section. Then we go into the actual novel study, which is the essentials. Now, to go with the reading schedule, I've broken this down in terms of the stages of plot. So the first one is exposition, and you need to determine what chapters the kids are going to be reading in order to answer these questions. Does that make sense? So the exposition section is 4 pages, and it's all different basic comprehension questions that will align with any novel that you are reading in class. It can be fiction, it can be nonfiction, but if you assign what chapters, so say chapters 1 through 3 are the exposition. So the kids would write in here chapters 1 through 3, or you can write that in there before you photocopy so that they know. So the exposition, there are 4 pages of comprehension questions that gets them to think a little bit deeper. Then I have an activity, a Snapchat story summary. If you own my social media literature circle bundle, you've seen this before. Sorry, you can hear my dog being annoying in the background. If you own my social media literature circle bundle, this should look familiar to you. So basically it's the kids are doing a summary of what they read in the exposition, and they draw their Snapchats, and then they write a little summary with textual evidence for each of the photos, and that's their activity for that. Then we go into the rising action. The rising action, again, assign the chapters. It makes it way easier that way, and this way you can use this with multiple different novels. So rising action is also 4 pages of comprehension questions. There's character development. There's a place for kids to make predictions. There's a place for kids to ask questions. They're analyzing characters. They're looking at quotes. There's all sorts of different activities where students can basically analyze the text in different medias. And I think that that's really, really important. Instead of just giving them a list of questions and be like, all right, here you go. This is just set up a little bit differently. So again, rising action is 4 pages because this is oftentimes a big chunk of the novel. Then we have a character selfie. Again, if you own my social media literature circle bundle, this should look familiar. The kids pick any character that they want. They draw their artistic representation of that character. They create a selfie. And then on the next page here, they explain their character, why they drew their character the way they did. They create hashtags. They have to create a caption for the photo. It's fun because the kids can like make up their own usernames, and usually kids have like 1 billion likes and they get really excited. You know how it is. So that's the activity for rising action. Then we come to the climax. The climax, again, you would assign the chapters that the climax would be in, and it's 4 pages. Similar setup. You'll probably notice that I have this in every single section, and that is because I do. The quotes and having them analyze and explain the quotes, I think, is a really important lesson that kids can learn from, and to help them analyze. And then later on, if they have a writing piece that they need to do pertaining to their book, they already have quotes and it's already cited. So they've already done a bunch of the work. So 2 birds with 1 stone kind of deal. And then for climax, I actually put in the activity of literary playlist. I did this with my To Kill a Mockingbird unit. The kids really, really enjoyed it. After the climax, it's always super suspenseful and they're not really sure what's going to go on. So it's really great for kids to kind of sit back and kind of like think about it like a movie. Like, okay, if I were watching this, what kind of a soundtrack would go with it? And the kids get to pick and choose. And in my classroom, kids aren't allowed to use cell phones in our school. I teach 8th grade, but I allow them to have their cell phones that day so they can listen to their music and they get really excited. But this is a really, really fun activity. Some kids get really into it and they create art to go with it and all sorts of stuff. It can be as big or as small as you want it to be. But it's a great activity to do after the climax. Then we have falling action. Falling action questions are actually only 2 pages because typically falling action and resolution are smaller parts of the book. So I have same setup. In every spot you're going to see they're going to have to write down the definition for the stage of plot. They can do predictions. Here they're, listing what has happened in chronological order. Again, it's the quotes. There are things for kids to analyze, which I think is really important. The activity for the falling action is an impactful Snapchat. So basically what they do is they pick 2 important key scenes from the falling action. You could have them pick it from the climax too if you'd like. That's totally your choice. And then they have to write out why it's important. And they have to include textual evidence to support their answer. And I always emphasize that kids need to be citing their work. Always, 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 always. They can come up with their own username. It's the whole works. So that's for falling action. And then we have resolution. This one's kind of fun. They have to draw an emoji about how they felt about the ending of the novel. There have been lots of novels where I've been really, really disappointed. So it's really cool to see the kids express themselves through a medium that they really know, which is emojis. And again, resolution is just 2 pages. A lot of times, books, especially if they're in a series, they don't necessarily have a resolution. But even if they don't have a resolution, you can still do these questions. So they're generic enough where it still allows the kids to analyze what they've seen. What they've read. And then this is only 2 pages. And then what they do for their last activity is a book review. And they write a book review. They need to give it 1 to 5 stars. And then an educated opinion on the novel. They need to write in detail about the writing style and whether they would recommend this novel to their friends. It's a really great way for kids to be creative and think like a critic. So there's space for 2 pages, just, for kids that might write more. But whatever you would find appropriate for this is great. And then I have 4 pages available for additional notes or brainstorming or doodles that kids can use throughout their reading. So they have everything kind of in one spot. I don't want kids to feel like they have to now carry a notebook and this workbook with them. It's just easier, especially come time for projects, for writing, essays, for their test, whatever you might have them do. They have space and everything is located in one spot for them. And then the last section is your post-reading, which is the analysis of the text. So here I have a plot diagram where basically in the space provided, kids are writing a brief description of each element of plot, which they've already done a lot of the work for, but they're actually just condensing it at this point, and it's more of a review process for them, and it spans 2 pages. Plenty of room for the kids to write. And then the last activity I have in the workbook is the kids write a Buzzfeed article, and they write, or it's in the style of a Buzzfeed article, and they need to focus on the top 5 events from the novel, giving each event a fun, catchy title. You know how Buzzfeed is. Followed by at least 1 to 3 sentences explaining why it's a top event, and they need to use evidence from the text to support their answer. It's a fun way for kids to think like journalists and analyze what they've read. So that's what's included in the workbook itself. And then the bundle also includes a project on theme. So they create a mind map. They can either do it individually or as in groups. And I also included the text-dependent analysis, graphic organizers, and literary analysis bundle that I created in this, so you can work with students to analyze their literature and have the resources to do so. There's also an editable, as I said, reading schedule, but this is basically what is in the workbook. The students really enjoy having a workbook and having everything in one place. And it's also really easy for you. You just print and go. So I just wanted to give you guys a brief look into it. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to shoot me an email. And I will link everything down below for you. So happy reading, and I hope your students enjoy it. Have a great day. Bye, guys.